Kevin Peach, Chief Executive and Harbour Master at Ullapool Harbour Trust. I was lucky enough to be invited to get involved with the Muirneag project, and our aim is to build an 80-foot replica Zulu that was going around in our waters 120 years ago. Apprenticeships, we'll have shipwright apprenticeships, we'll get involvement from the school. We'll make it a public build, so you'll be able to go down and engage with the shipwrights, see the actual trees being milled, the boat taking shape. It'll take about 2.5 years. And then after that, it'll deliver a lifetime of experiences. It's a massive project. It'll be the biggest wooden boat built in Scotland for decades. It'll put us on the map when it comes to tall ship experiences for local youths. It'll be here for community events, weddings. We hope to have it alongside as a tourist attraction. We'll have cruise ship visitors using it. We just see it as the final piece of our Trustport jigsaw. We've been involved with tall ship trainee placement. We placed 250 local youths on tall ships, mainly Dutch ships, and also we've used the Shetland Swan. But what we really would love to have is our own ship, so our own children can get involved and enjoy the experience.
I'm Tim Loftus and I'm one of the shipwrights on the Muirneag project. So one of the amazing things about Muirneag, she was what we call a Zulu class herring lugger. So they were the most evolved of the sailing herring boats. Bizarrely, although they were made in their thousands, there are no in-commission examples anywhere in the world. The Zulu part of the name first appeared around the time of the Zulu War, and the Scots fishermen had a tremendous respect for the Zulu people. The herring, obviously, the fish that were being caught with these boats, and the lugger part of it, the type of sails that these boats carried. So a boat like the Muirneag speaks of a hard past in some respects, a tough life out on the sea. Ullapool, where we're based, is a herring port. It was founded on the herring industry, an example of the pinnacle of sailing herring fishing boat here in the village would be a really fitting tribute.
The Muirneag was the last fully sail-powered Zulu in existence in Scotland. So, a truly remarkable ship, worked for 45 years all round the coast of the UK, but predominantly in the Minches. So why wouldn't you build that here? We've got an extremely skilled boatyard who've got experience in restoring a Zulu recently and a lost find skiff, so we have absolutely the skills. We've got timber in the forest locally, we have everything we need, and we've got an incredibly supportive port behind all that who will look after the ship in later life and ensure her future.
One of the most exciting parts of the Muirneag project for me is the apprenticeship scheme that we'll be running within it. The more experienced shipwrights pass on the skills that we've learnt over the years and pass them on to the next generation. One of the best ways that we can continue to preserve our existing maritime heritage is by learning on a big project like this, where we're building every component of the boat from scratch.
One of the main drivers, UNESCO now see shipbuilding as it's a red category, it's an endangered skill. That's not the reason we're doing this, but it just shows you where we are in terms of traditional skills. But our plan would be that Ullapool Harbour would sponsor 2 trainees, 2 apprenticeships in boat building, and Stornoway Port Authority would do the same. And it would be really lovely if we had 2 from each side of the Minch working together to deliver the project and coming out at the end of it as fully qualified shipwrights.
So the projected build time is 2.5 years from laying of the keel to launching. Boat building is quite unusual in that we tend to do almost everything in-house, so start really at the very beginning. Building something traditional like this has so many exciting parts to it. So we'll be out in the forest picking trees, we mill the trees, we dry the wood, we start cutting out these enormous lumps of timber. There's lots of exciting smells and sounds. The smell of the fresh cut timber, I think, is one of the nicest things.
My name's Alistair Grant. I'll be a boat builder on the project. It's kind of as far as we got with sailing fishing vessels up here in Scotland, where they were getting bigger and more efficient until the engine came in, essentially. The only mechanical help they had on board was a steam-powered capstan, which helped them sail, but there was no propulsion. they were still engineless. So it's kind of as far as that evolution got before the steam engines came along. Yes, I don't think it was a life of luxury. I think they were at sea for hard work. I'm sure it was enjoyable in a lot of ways, but they would have earned every bit of that and had to work with the weather, not against it. Yeah, totally different way of life.
I think if you look at Shetland as an example with the Swan, they've got the LK Swan. She was built in Shetland and she's been running as a tall ship now for 30 years as a charity. Every young person at school in Shetland is given the opportunity to go sailing. It's just part of their ethos. That's exactly what we want to do here. But it's not exclusively young people. You know, we will take voyages out, day sails. You know, anybody wants to engage, there'll be work, there'll be some jobs, full-time jobs for a skipper, a mate, a cook, you know, and that'll go on for generations. You know, I mean, a well-built Zulu looked after could easily be here in 50, 60 years' time offering the same thing. So it's a long-term legacy project, a piece of history.
There are a few people who have these skills. The nearest thing I've done is a restoration of a boat at 38 foot. And this is 80 foot, and that's not twice the size, that's probably 4 times the size because it's wider, deeper, bigger, heavier, the frames are 4 inches thick. But what that means is nobody's got a team ready to go to do this. We'll have to collaborate, and that's what I quite like. I think you'll end up with like 2 or 3 teams of skilled people. Like every aspect of it's skilled, so the difference between building something like this and modern construction is that every piece is individual. There's a duplicate on each side of the boat, but every frame is unique. None are the same. Every plank, the same again. You have to template every one, every bevel on it. Everything's changing all the time as you form the shape of the hull. So there's just so much skill, and you have to make every part of it. You can't buy anything off the shelf. The timber we'd have to process ourselves. All the metal work would have to be made in-house on the boat. You can't just buy a bracket to fit. And it would have been like that before. Boat yards were amazing for having an array of skills to cover every part of the boat. And that just means that there's no de-skilling. It's the opposite. Everyone has to understand what the job is and what you're trying to achieve. The biggest thing for me is that there's nothing that can't be fixed or built by yourself. If you learn the skills and you're part of something like this, you'll realise that when you look at anything, you'll start to think, well, I could probably fix that, or I could have a go at it and learn and come back and do it and repair it. It's like a really nice mindset once you start to see other people, as I've found in my career, tackle anything, make their own sails, and it's not because they think they're going to be the best at that. It's because by doing it, they understand it better as well. You start to understand how things function. You look at them almost an exploded view. Why is that size? What's it doing? What's the loading on it? I quite like that about it, that you just start to look at everything differently and how it's put together. You know, block and tackles, there'll be teamwork, and it'll also be good for training kids how to work with the wind. You can't just battle against it. You have to think about your journey, you have to be very strategic, you have to be clever, you have to work with the tides because you don't have all the modern tech. You have to use the elements, not work against them. That's not how the world works. And you'll all have to work together to do it. It'll be very fun, very physical and organised, and to get to where you want to go, you'll have to plan it, work hard, and it'll be very satisfying.
Because Ullapool's got a large catchment in terms of the high school, for example, you know, we've had, I can think offhand of 2 girls who came as trainees. One of them now works for Tall Ships International based in Southampton. She spent 2 years sailing back and forth across the Atlantic. We had a lassie from Scourie did the same, you know, so we'll pull people in, give them that opportunity, light a spark, and hope that either A, they'll spend some time at it to form friendships all over the world, or potentially a career. And that would be offered to any school. Previously, we've offered it to Stornoway High School, you know, and we paid for some of their trainees to go on an adventure, joined our kids, off they went to the Baltic. So, you know, we've got quite a track record of working in that sector and placing students.
And there would have been boats like this coming in and out of Ullapool, landing to Ullapool. So Ullapool's history is tied up in this sort of vessel. So it's really cool to be doing it here in Ullapool and tying it into the harbour. And to see her one day alongside the harbour and then sailing to Stornoway in it to a harbour it would have landed into will be extra important. You know, it'll feel pretty cool, like going back in time. To actually see one in person and be on board one on deck, to see the scale of it, the rigging, the weight of everything, the power of it, I think that's much more than reading about it or looking at photos of it or even looking at one in a museum that's not functional. That's not the same thing. To see one coming out of harbour, to see what it takes to sail one, to see the skills that will be required to sail it, will show you how many skilled people there were. There was hundreds and hundreds of them. It was a very skilled time and a very hard time, and it'll be very cool just to experience that and get a better understanding of it. We all read about it and we all have a dabble in it, but to experience it is to actually understand it. It will look like nothing else, and it's from our area. It wasn't that long ago they were working in our waters, only 8 years ago, but the way we've developed so quickly that you almost don't recognise it. This was engineless. Everything was done by hand apart from the steam-powered capstan. It's so far from what we have in harbours today, but not that long ago.
Working boat, yeah, absolutely no museum piece about it. We want this boat to be at sea as many days as weather permits. No doubt it'll have a massive interest, right round Scotland, right round the UK. Last year we had Luggerfest, which was a boat festival for herring lugger sail boats, and the village was buoyant with beautiful weather, and it made it a great event. And we're going to do that biannually with another one in 26. Thereafter, Muirneag would be the centrepiece of that sort of event, and not only here, but there are lots of boat festivals all around the UK and indeed in Europe. And she could attend these events as a showpiece, vessel from the northwest of Scotland. And, from an educational point of view, we'll make it available to anybody that wants it. I mean, even now, as the last couple of weeks, we've got school trips coming from Scowrie, from Hultiburi. We've just organised one today from Kinlochbervie. And this would all form part of that adventure. You'd come to Ullapool Harbour, get an understanding about what we do, understand about the ferry, the fishing, and then go and have a wee look at a piece of history. So now with citizen science, we've been involved with that with 2 or 3 local community groups, and we also have the Ullapool Sea Savers, where we support them. The Muirneag will have a little onboard laboratory, a purpose-built space, and we'll be able to take youngsters out, or anyone in fact out, if we wanted to do some ROV surveys of particular areas of Loch Broom, or looking for herring spawn, or any of those little things. We might get into an annual cycle of doing some research. It's an expensive project. We're looking for quite a lot of money. We will go to the big funders and see if we can get the bulk of the capital that way. Certainly the trust ports have indicated that they will assist us with the finances. We're going to have sponsor a nail, sponsor a plank, sponsor a sail, whatever, so people can get a bit of a vibe and a feel for it. They can see their money tangibly. You could go out to the yard and donate £10 and then just stand and watch it being spent effectively. I mean, to get the project underway, we would love to get 350,000 in the bank. That would allow us to get, the facilities built, to build the boat, to get the timber, mill the timber. So that would be the first part of what we would do. Here's an opportunity for a small sum of money to use, a local outfit, to build something to make your village proud of, to make Scotland, indeed, UK proud of. And then offer all these opportunities to young people, plus apprenticeships, plus upskilling the labour force, plus getting more skippers, engineers, seamen on the go. It's, if you thought of the benefit of all the people that may or may not step on that boat over I'm saying 60 years, it could be well a bit longer than that, but if we say, for argument's sake, 60 years of its life, you're talking thousands of people. So if you divide that into the sum it costs to build, it's buttons. There isn't another Zulu like Muirneag anywhere in the world, not a single one. So this is literally recreating a piece of history. Yeah, you can't really describe how big a thing that is. What an opportunity to be able to do that. And, wooden shipbuilding the world over is a bit of a mystique to it. But we will make this a public build. People can come along, get involved, and recreate a piece of history. How amazing is that?